In this module, we will cover the overview of a computer program to set the context on what a computer understands and whether the computer can understand Java directly. We will look at Java, which is a high-level language, bytecode and its importance, Java virtual machine, salient features and facts about Java. So the objective is to learn what language does a computer understand, what it takes for a Java program to be understood by the computer, and some important points about Java. Well then, to understand what a computer program is and what it consists of, let's try to answer these questions. So the first one is, what is a computer program? So a computer program is a list of precise instructions to be followed mechanically by a computer. How are these instructions written? The instructions are written in a machine readable form, which is the machine language. So each computer understands its own machine language. A program is usually written in a high-level language and then translated by the computer's compiler into the machine language. How are these instructions executed? The instructions are executed by the CPU, which calls specific tasks on the operating system. Now that we know that the computer understands machine language, let's look and answer these questions. If the computer can understand Java. So the answer is no, the computer will not understand Java because Java is a high-level language which is in human readable form. Then how to make computer execute a Java program? How to make it understand a Java program? So the program needs to be translated into a machine language. How does this translation happen? So it's a two-step process. First step is to convert the Java program into an intermediate representation called a bytecode. And second, convert this intermediate representation into the corresponding machine language. Now we have an intermediate representation. So the intermediate representation, how does it help? I mean, is that understood by the machine? Is that a machine language? Um, it is. It's a machine language, but it is not directly understood by the computer. It's understood by an intermediate. It's a kind of a virtual machine that we will understand in the later slides. So here, I mean, just to understand what a bytecode and what's its importance is and how does it help. So if the bytecode was not used, every operating system's compiler code had to be modified to be able to understand and execute a Java program. Modifying every operating system's compiler code to accommodate Java is a tedious job and increases the complexity of the compiler. By no means compiler program is simple. It has its own complexity. So rather than piling up on the compiler, bytecode was used. So with bytecode, the complexity is reduced and the source code is written once and executed anywhere. As we have already answered this question, is bytecode in machine readable form? The answer is no. So how does it get converted into the specific machine language? Or this another program called Java interpreter to convert this bytecode into the machine instructions one by one. So where is this program present? So the interpreter is a part of the JVM. So what is the JVM? JVM is an engine that provides runtime environment to execute Java bytecode. So how can Java run on any computer? So each computer will have a corresponding bytecode interpreter, which is a part of the JVM. Note that the JVM is provided by the JDK or the JRE installed on that machine. So such an interpreter simulates a virtual machine on that computer. Hence the same compiled program can be run on different types of computers. The JVM is the basis on which Java can run on any computer. So a simple illustration to depict how Java is written once and run on any computer. So we have a typical setup where we have the development environment on Windows machine and the testing or the production environment on the Linux machine. So the development machine where we have the development environment is a place where we would write our Java application code, the source code. And obviously the machine would have the JDK and JRE setup, which would automatically provide the JVM for testing the Java programs that have been written. So the Java source code will be compiled or translated into a bytecode, which is the intermediate representation. Now that bytecode will be copied to the testing or the production environments, which is a setup with the JRE. The JRE is downloaded and installed on the testing and the production environment. So this bytecode can be executed in the testing and the production environments. That is why you can write the program on any computer and use the intermediate representation, which is the bytecode, and transfer it to any other system and execute on that machine, provided that it has the JRE, which would provide the JVM. So let's look at some of the salient features about Java. So now we know that the Java is a high-level language. It is also an object-oriented programming language, which we will cover in greater depth in the later slides. The Java is a robust, secure, and stable language. Java is platform independent, as we have seen. You can write the code on one machine and run it on another machine. You can use Java to develop standalone web, enterprise, mobile applications. So how did it get its name? So Java was developed in Sun Microsystem by James Gosling, Patrick Norton, Mike Sheridan. Java is an island in Indonesia where the first coffee was produced. Hence the name of the coffee, which is an espresso bean, is Java. So James Gosling chose this name while having coffee near his office. Let's summarize what we have learned. We have learned that a computer understands machine language. Java is high-level language, which is in human readable form and needs to be converted into the machine language. And the conversion takes place in two steps. One is it is converted into a bytecode, which is an intermediate representation, not understood by the computer directly, but by a virtual machine, which is provided by the Java runtime environment. And then that Java virtual machine consists of a program called interpreter, which takes care of interpreting these bytecode instructions into the specific machine instructions. And due to the JVM, a Java program can be written once and executed on any machine.